Maitetsu. Yeah, but like, did that lead into a hate scene? Oh, oh, it looks sleepy. I think Reina looks a lot sleepier. On her lap, Reina opens her mouth wide and...
Yeah.
It's only 3 right now. It's not quite early morning. We're still in the realm of night. The H scenes are unlocked after the certain character's route. Right.
すまんな。どうしても始発の前に話したかった。
So it's like Love Sweet Garnish, right? Where you only get the H scenes after the route. Because there's prep work involved. I want to do this as soon as possible. After already agreeing to discussing it at this hour, I suppose it's time to wake her up and have the conversation.
いえ、私がこの時間でって言ったんですし、それに普段楽させてもらってますし、早起きくらい。
And in the next instant, Paulette's eyes dart in another direction.
86ちゃん、ご一緒じゃないんですか？
ああ、あれがいると、僕が判断を誤ってしまいかねないと思ってな。
After Hachiroku's route, you get a lot of her hate scenes, right? Well, you know, I'm not going to be able to play her hate scenes until I finish the game, so unfortunate. I thought I already made my decision, but these words come out spontaneously from my mouth. Could something have come up in my expression? Paulette nods slightly and sits up straight.
大事な事情があっての早起きだったらいくらでもします。大丈夫です。
Any hint of drowsiness is gone from her eyes. There's no point in wasting any more of her time.
話というのは8620の損傷についてだ。
Yeah, so like we agree that that like 8620's kaput after you know.
どこか痛んだんですか？
傷んだではなく、痛み続けていたらしい。長期的に、じわじわと。それが、ついに表面化した。
When I show her the photo, Paulette and Reina are speechless. I tell them exactly what Hachiroku said. Paulette's face becomes paler with every statement. It pains me to say it, but I can't stop now.
86の弦によれば、あと1、2年は運用可能だということだ。が。
これ、86さん、ここまで気づかなかったんですか？
Yep. That's the gist of it. Reina's voice doesn't have a hint of sleepiness anymore. Suddenly, her drowsy state is replaced with an obvious suspicion. Her question's a plain but powerful one.
気づかなかったと本人はそう言っている。
I realize how ambiguous that statement is. I must have had similar doubts at some point too. If I hadn't pointed it out, if no one had pointed it out, Hachiroku may have continued to hide it.
あれは不調をずっと訴え続けていた。レイルロードとして従前の性能を発揮できていないと。
While knowing I have this doubt, I still strongly believe in Hachiroku. Game. Even a small risk. If it increased the amount of chance of an accident, increase the chance of an accident, Hachiroku'd never intentionally do it.
調子悪いなら、トロルユのおばあさんに見てもらうといいです。
もう見てもらった。見てはもらったのだが、
Rana points something out that's plain but poignant. This memory is almost painful to me.
機能的に異常はない、とのお話だった。その上で不調があるなら、原因はただ考えすぎと。
考えすぎ。
When Paulette speaks up, Rana closes her mouth and waits.
何を考えすぎているんでしょう。
僕にはわからん。86自身も分かっていないようだった。
It could have something to do with the accident, but I don't know what or how she thinks about it. I don't want to say anything irresponsible, but there is one thing that's for sure.
だが、今回の86が問題に気づくのが遅れた理由はそこではない。それは、ひとえに僕にある。
相鉄くんに。
ああ、エアクラ工場誘致を撤回させ、お人よを守りたい。僕の目的を、86は果たさせたいと願っているのだ。
Paulette's voice is muffled. There's a bit of sadness mixed in.
だから、大枠の歪みに気づけなかった。
多分な。少なくとも僕はそう思っている。
Or more like that's what you want to believe.
大枠が歪んでいるのに気づいたら、危なくて走れなくなっちゃうからですね。
A remark made without hesitation. The plainness erases all doubt within me. This is not negotiable.
ああ、この歪みは文字通り目に見えるリスクだ。それを無視して運行などはとてもできんさ。
ですよね、やっぱり。
My words weigh down heavily, a negative impact on the business side, as well as trust. Paulette's position is causing her to hesitate in her decision. There's hate scenes? Of course there's hate scenes. Dexter wouldn't give me a game that doesn't have hate scenes.
万が一にでも事故が起きれば、その影響は計り知れん。鉄道での観光振興なども夢物語と終わるだろう。
That's why I try to push her further. No matter what price there is, we can't let an accident happen. Another accident would most likely break Hachiroku completely.
8620の運休を前提に考えるしかない。その上での最善策をできるだけ早く立てていくしか。
Where are the Uta hate scenes from Maitetsu Cupid? They are coming, alright? I haven't gotten around to doing them yet. Just like you, okay. We're going... Yeah. She quietly, faintly inhales, and with that breath she forms
で
words.
すね。それしかないと、私も思います。
Oops. When's the last time you met a new viewer came in? Good question.
ならばその上での相談だが、今の予約が消化しきられる1ヶ月と1日後からダイヤ改正ができんだろうか。
ダイヤ改正ですか？どういう風に？
バーベキュートレインと朝夕の定期運行と両者の時刻を同一にできればと思うのだが。
Paulette's eyes widen as she looks to Reina. Reina nods meekly.
できますよ。レイナ、重いの引っ張るの大得ですから。
I mean, you are a rail lord, so expected.
バーベキュー客車も定期運行もそのままで、ただ両者を連結しちゃって 運用する。
She organizes her words, yet her words out loud and thinks on them for a moment.
ローカルの観光列車ではある形式ですし、課題をいくつか解消できればいける気がします。
Visual novel people should be content starved. Why aren't they coming in? Well, yeah, that's one thing, right? I don't advertise, and I probably don't stream at the right time, right? Because if you look at my main channel and if you look at my VOD channels, which are linked on my link tree, they get views, right? But they aren't transferring over to my Twitch, right? Which, if you should do if you're watching this VOD.
その課題とは？
まず時間ですよね。朝は観光列車としてはかなり早い時刻になります。
だが学園がある期間は観光的にはオフシーズン。学園が休みの時期こそ観光の稼ぎ時となるから。
ああ、そっか。学園が休みの期間はダイヤを調整しちゃえばいいんですね。単純に。
No way people actually watch his VODs. Bro, you're watching the stream. What are you talking about?
とは思うが、平気か？学園の、例えば部活の朝練などは。
そういう子たちはもっと早くから自転車通学してますから。
自転車か。
It's a surprise considering that the distance of the tracks between Ohitoyo and Yunoi is 20-something kilometers. Since bikes are immune to the dead zones that aircraft are susceptible to, it's not an impossible distance to travel. 400. I have how many views on my... Jesus.
休み期間中のことなら学園側とも調整可能でしょうし、多分問題なくいけちゃうと思います。
Yeah, but that's the problem. I only got views on my Maitetsu Cupid VOD, but specifically the Uta route. And the common route, I guess.
ならばよかった。他にはどうだ？
匂い対策必要になると思います。キハ07側、日曜列車側に焼肉の匂いが流れ込むと。
なるほど。かなり残酷なこととなるか。食べ盛りの学園生が主体の列車だものな。
だけじゃなく、服に匂いがついちゃうと困るとかも普通にあるって思いますし。
Why are you pinning the link to my VOD channel? Why aren't you linking to my main channel?
なるほど。
Because the passenger cars in the opposite direction of the path, the smell will follow the... Because the passenger cars in the opposite direction of the path, the smell will follow the wind. Alright. We just have to worry about backdrafts.
客車側は指定席になるのだよな。
それははい。今までと変わらず指定有料となります。
So we can expect to have minimal passengers crossing between Kiha 7 and the barbecue train.
ならば、単純ではあるが、連結部に充電式の送風機を置いてみてはどうだろうか。
You have 8 subs on your main channel. Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to get more subs on my main channel.
いいかもですね。客車側に涼しさも提供できますし。けど、多分そうするとですね。
Well, it starts listing up detailed issues. She brings up more and more ideas. So she avoids the most crucial part as we continue our discussion. How do you have more subs on your VOD channel? I don't know, Maitetsu Cupid.
あとはそうですね。
With the minute problems ironed out, All that's left is heavy silence.
僕の方の8620の問題なのだが。
That's why I started the conversation. No matter how suffocating it may be, that's my responsibility.
具体的にどうということを今の時点では思いつけんが、回収をどれほどに困難だろうとやりたく思う。
それは、はい。
A long silence. A dull nod in agreement.
技術的、資金的な問題が解決できれば、もちろん私もそれが最善だと思います。
そうか。
It's a conditional agreement. Even Paulette has to reluctantly say that. Then that means repairing the frame is that difficult.
それで私たちの方の問題なんですけど。
Before I can find the words to respond, Paulette's voice cuts through the silence.
レイナのその足回りの問題についてです。
Paulette's hand twitches, but Raina places her hand on top of Paulette's. For a brief moment, they look in each other's eyes, and then Paulette turns straight to me.
相鉄くんが時間を作ってくれましたから、問題解決の短所は見つけることができてます。
そうなのか。
I found myself standing up from my chair at the unexpected good news.
どのようにして解決を？
足回りへの負担は2つの原因から生まれます。粘着力の強さとエンジンのトルクの強さです。
I can't believe my mod is spreading misinformation.
ああ、それは理解できる。
Adhesion's the driving wheel's ability to catch the track. Torque is the revolving power created by the engine. If the force used to catch the tracks bends the axle, it'll create a strong force. Sure. But it'll also burden the suspension in the process.
ならそうか。粘着力を下げてしまうか、トルクを落としてしまえばいいのか。
はい、鉱山鉄道時代と違ってこの湯の井線ですから、どっちを取っても安全だって計算はできてます。
おお。
As my responses become warmer, Paulette begins to speak even smoother.
でも粘着力を一番安全に落とすのは輪軸からの再設計が必要になって、コスト的にも技術的にも。
ならば、例えばエンジンにリミッターをつけるなどして。
Ando is actually Rev. Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here.
はい。
He nods. The words that follow are straight and to the point.
私もそれを考えてました。
そうか。
The design will remain the same, while simply placing a limiter on the engine output. It'll most likely create losses in a number of ways. It's far from the ideal solution, but...
ならば、それでよろしく頼めるか。
はい。
Dexter, Starving doesn't know any of these people. Paulette already understands. She's trying to accept it. There just might not be an ideal solution here. All we can do is pick the best one of the bunch.
やります。
She nods in agreement. With a tense look on her face, Paulette tries her best to give me a smile.
あとは、やる、やらないの問題だけだったんです。けど、これって、決心、するしかない状況ですから。
Paulette wraps her arms around Reina, as if to protect her. It almost seems as if Paulette is clinging onto Reina.
やりますし、やれます。その問題は、こっちできっちり解決します。
Yeah, Starving, I'm actually friends with, I'm trying to think of a YouTuber. Mr. Beast. Her gaze is strong. I haven't seen her like this before. But that's why I began to think of this spontaneously. The bond with Reina is what made Paulette strong.
ならば僕も。
相鉄様
Jesus, that was loud. Hachidogu's voice has a tone to it that's completely different from her usual calmness.
相鉄様、やはりここでしたか。
She must have hurried here. When are you playing the Coffin of Ando and Lele? Okay. I mean, I'm thinking about playing it. Get ready for the emotional hell. Okay. Before that happens, I want to play the Coffin of Andy and Lele, right? But because it doesn't have any voice acting, I only want to play it when I'm comfortable enough to be able to voice multiple characters, including female voices, right? And let's just say that it's not a. I'm not training my vocal cords enough. You must have hurried here. Her usual neat and tidy clothes are messy. No.
86、お前転んだのか。
そのようなこと、今は関係ございません。
Without wiping off her soiled knees, Hatsudoku comes close to me. Her eyes are wavering, as if anger, worry, and sadness are all mixing together.
ポーレット様とレイナと、一体何をご相談されてらしたのですか。
Sotetsu's face darkens. I didn't want to see him that way. I didn't want to make him that way, else I can't choose my words carefully anymore.
何についてのお話ですか。私が聞くべきではないことですか。
いや、そんなことはない。むしろ、お前が一番に知るべき話だ。
それは。
I had felt this ever since I woke up. Sotetsu was not next to me when I opened my eyes. The loneliness, worry, and a feeling of being left out.
8620に関係のあるお話ですか。
I asked in an effort to get rid of the feeling associated with that thought, in an effort to have Sotetsu remove that feeling with his words. I want him to say that it isn't true, but I suspect that it's not the case.
うん、その通りだ。
そのことでしたら、昨晩私と話し合ったではありませんか。
Sotetsu's words. He told me to trust him and just rest. I knew that could be interpreted in any way, and yet I went with it. But now that things have turned out like this, my head's a mess.
相鉄様を信じていいとおっしゃってくださったではありませんか。
確かに言った。だから僕はお前のために、お前を守るために、僕の責任で決断を下そうと考えた。
私を守る。
I know I'm supposed to be happy about those words, and I know a sort of warmth should have overtaken me as a result. But all I feel right now is a sharp twinge. His words have done the opposite of what they were supposed to.
何から私を守ってくださるのですか？
事故からだ。今のままなら確実に起こってしまう。大枠損傷に起因する大きな事故からだ。
相鉄くん。
Paulette's eyes are drawn down with worry. I follow her gaze and realize what her message is. Sotetsu's hands are held in fists. They're clenched tightly and shaking.
ですので、私は申しました。
Paulette realized that prior to me, he discussed it with her instead of me. There's a connection between these two individual occurrences, and the control systems of my speech seem to become even more confused.
あと2年。その期間なら必ず安全に走れると。
2 years. That is the grace period that Makota's father gave to Sotetsu. If they cannot reverse the building of the factory by then, Sotetsu must leave Ohitoyo.
ですから、その間に私と8620を使い切り、どうぞ目的をお果たしくださいと、私は。
確かに聞いた。嬉しく思った。その上で、僕は決断したのだ。
Sotetsu reaches his hand toward me in the same way he does when touching my hat to praise me. But my body moves on its own and avoids his hand. A confused expression. Sotetsu's hand retracts to its original position without it caressing my hair. I didn't even know myself why I just did that. Sotetsu must be confused too. His expression certainly makes it seem that way at least.
僕は、86。
A gentle tone. He speaks slowly. Sotetsu was about to tell me something important.
僕はな、86。鉄道事故が怖いのだ。
I feel as if he's pushed me away. I know that feeling is illogical, but a part of me separate from my thoughts is overheating.
私の判断を信用できないということですか？私が不具合を持つレールロードであるから。
Reno, who's been quiet the whole time, jumps off Paulette's lap. He walks over to me without saying a word and... She flicks my forehead with her finger. There's no shock, but something about that agitates me.
叩っこはデコピンをされちゃうのです。
デコピン？
デコピンはする方がずっと痛いのです。ポーレット、デコピンすると泣きそうな顔するのです。
Reno also looks like she's about to cry. A static noise goes through my head as I am thrown further into confusion. That is why it hurts. I'm sure I know this feeling to be pain.
私のどこが叩っこなどと。
相鉄さん、86さんのマスターですよ。信用してなかったら一緒になんて走ってないです。
That's natural. I can affirm that without a shadow of a doubt.
86さんだってそのことちゃんとわかってるです。わかってるのに困らせるために言うのはただです。
それはけれど。
Sotetsu worked so hard for me, as the engineer despite knowing my functional problems. That's why I tried my best to match his efforts, and yet now 8620 is weighing down Sotetsu.
レイナ、86を心配してくれて、叱ってくれて、ありがとう。
Sotetsu's hand pats Reina's head, the hand that I avoided. His hand wavers back and forth. All of Sotetsu seems to shake back and forth in my eyes.
だが、86はダダをこねたわけではないのだ。いろいろなことが起きすぎて、少し混乱しているだけだ。
混乱ですか？
Reina makes a strange noise.
86さん。レイナ、軽くしたつもりで。そんなに痛かったですか？
デコピンごとき、少しも痛くなどありませぬ。
でも、86さん。
ありがとう、レイナ。
レイナ、ね、おいで。はい、です。
He slowly walks away from me. A large presence comes close to me. Sotetsu's kerchief gently wipes my face. The wavering world in my eyes returns to normal.
すまんな。妙なことを言ってしまったな。
妙なことなど。
Sotetsu refuses to look at my face. He carefully brushes off and straightens up my knees. The skirt that had gotten dirty from when I fell.
いえ、確かに、いささか妙ではございましたね。
That's why I wanted him to look at me. I wanted him to pat me on the head as usual. I choose the words that my usual self would use even though I feel a sort of load doing so.
鉄道事故が怖いなど、当然のことではございませんか。
I'm sure Sotetsu would agree with a smile. I'm sure he would smile and pat me on the head. But Sotetsu does not move. His hands lie motionless while he remains silent.
鉄道事故を経験し、痛みを知っている私です。事故のリスクを軽視するなど、ありえぬことです。
I feel afraid that Sotetsu isn't saying anything. I continue speaking to fill the silence.
その私が2年であれば大丈夫と、そう保証しているのですから。
86、僕はお前を信じている。お前が僕を大事にしてくれていることを知っている。
宗哲様。
It's Sotetsu's usual voice. A gentle voice. And yet, there's something tense about his expression.
その前提の上で、一つだけ、お前に確認させてくれ。
はい、何なりと、宗哲様。
僕の問題がなくとも、工場誘致との競争がなくとも、86は、8620の強行運行を主張するのか。
I wouldn't do such a thing. If after 2 years the train kept being operated and pushed beyond its limits, the bent frame would not be repairable, destroying my other half.
それは、宗哲様。
I can confirm a contradiction I can't seem to correct. I know for sure that I can operate for another 2 years accident-free, but I also can observe that the added risk cannot be avoided.
宗哲様、私は。
そこに即答できぬのならば。すまんな、86。8620の運休を覆すことはできないよ。
でしたら、どうして宗哲様は。
Again, my vision blurs. I try not to make my voice shake by applying more control in my systems.
でしたら うして私に、望みを言えと、そうご命令されたのですか？
それは、86。
あのご命令が、きっと私を不安定にし、欲張りに、ただっこにしてしまったのです。
I try to control it, but my overheating doesn't let up. I'm broken. A Raya Lord can never defy the engineer.
相鉄様。私は。
I'm afraid of myself. If I continue to talk with Sotetsu, I can't figure out how much further I'll lose control.
申し訳ございません。今は失礼いたします。
待て、86。
止めないで。どうぞ追わないでくださいまし。
When I say that, Sotetsu stops. As I wanted, I see that is painful and lonely to me.
今の私は熱暴走をしています。数時間もあればきっとクールダウンできますので。
しかし。
ですので、どうか、今は一人に。数時間後に、またお話をさせてください。
I can hear a heavy sigh. I want desperately to know why he is sighing, but I'm too afraid to turn around and look.
わかった。では、またその時に。
そうですさん。
Sotetsu's name is called, and I want to hear that voice, so I quickly leave the scene. Part of me wishes I'd hear his footsteps follow after me, but they never come.
2年。私の方が持たないかもしれませんね。
The owner of Kororu Hot Springs gave such a lackluster diagnosis that I'm not even angry anymore.
自身も制御できないようでは、相鉄様のお役に立つどころか、むしろご迷惑に。
あれ？86なんでこんなところに？
Pale hands, slender fingers of an artist.
響こそ、どうしてこんなところに？
他に来たの。他に来たんだよ。
It's the same meaning, but she repeats herself for some reason, and I notice why. Hibiki is trying to speak the standard dialect. I can tell when I see Hibiki speaking with Sotetsu, Hibiki speaks in the Kumamoto dialect when she is being herself. And when Hibiki speaks in the standard dialect, she tries to bite off more than she can chew.
他と言っても、相鉄様にお話を聞いていないのですか？
聞いたよ。86走って行っちゃうし。私が遅れていったらさ、兄さん、こんな顔してて。
So 25 for an extra hour. Yeah. Also, hello meow. After with good wishes and happy National Pizza Margarita and German Chocolate Day, even if I can't afford either ATM. Already going for my game because I'm curious about it, but support lurk on, and well, take care, stranger. Thanks for the hydrate. While saying that, Hibiki makes a face like the Walking Dead people in movies. Zombies. What a funny expression. But I can imagine Sotetsu being that way.
落ち込まれていたのですか？あの相鉄様が。
うん、落ち込んでた。あの兄さんが。
Hibiki picks up the poker. He opens the furnace's lid and starts shoveling coal inside.
私ね、ずっと、兄さんって頭が良くて強いから、だから悩みも落ち込みもしないんだって思ってたの。
そうではないのですか？ 相鉄様は賢くお強い方ではございませんか。
そうだよ。でも強くて賢くても落ち込むでしょ。賢い方が
Lolies for
むしろ
life.
悩みはたくさんなんじゃないの？
Dexter, this is not the time. Dexter the 25. Her shoulder slouches as Hibiki puts down the poker and picks up the one scoop instead.
それは、そう言われればそのような気もいたしますが。
今までの兄さんが悩まなかったのはさ、だからきっと自分をすごく抑えてたから。
ご自分を抑える？
あれが欲しいとかこれは嫌とか、そういうのなかったら世の中って簡単だと思わない？
あ、そのような意味ですか。
I nod to her statement. That is true. Feelings of desire and want. They turned my world into a painful thing.
好きも嫌いも押し殺してさ、きっと全部を義務にして、だから兄さんは悩みも落ち込みもしなかった。
Hibiki continues to shovel the coal.
でも今回はすごく悩んでるよね。めちゃくちゃうろたえておろおろしてる。
さようですか。私にはとてもそのようには。
A dry laugh, as if it were ignited by hot oil. A very clear sound as she continues speaking.
そこに気づけてないなら、86と兄さんかなり似た者同士だよね。
似た者同士でございますか？
多分ね。きっと心の大事なところからずっと目をそらし続けてた同士。
The heart, the soul. Is that true, Sotetsu? But I am a rail lord. Hibiki shovels in coal with fluid motion to flatten the backside of the furnace. Like an artist, she works beautifully without a single wasted movement.
うまくなりましたね。短い期間に。
Those words slip out of my mouth. In that moment, I realize it. Is this what Hibiki meant when she said averting my eyes towards something?
そりゃそうよ。あれだけスパルタで鍛えられたら。
But Hibiki didn't say it to mind one bit. That's why it made me a little sad.
無駄な努力を重ねさせてしまいましたね。
無駄って何が？
He organizes the inside of the furnace neatly, and then Hibiki lays some coal on top of what's already there. She is maintaining the fire so that there are embers when they try to make steam.
ほかをしても、この子はもう走れないのですから。
走れない。なんで？直すでしょまた。
直すと簡単に言いますが。
簡単じゃなくても直すでしょ。だって兄さんだよ。右田相鉄だよ。
Hibiki's unwavering trust in Sotetsu. I feel envious of that.
確かに、相鉄様ならなされるでしょう。十分な時間と技術と設備、それからお金があれば。
86もポーレットさんと同じこと言ってるし。
I have a very nonchalant statement, but a hope of mine has just been crushed. A small hope that Paulette could know some sort of revolutionary technology or method.
時間はつまり労働力でしょ。人の手の数、それが多ければ多いほど 時間は圧縮できるよね。
はい。
お金も技術も設備も十分な人と人脈があればどうとでもなる問題じゃない？
I see. I think I understand.
それは、今一度、毛利の秋様を頼るということですか？
秋様もきっと頼りになるよね。けど、もっと頼りになる人たちがいるじゃない？
While saying that, Hibiki points at her chest with her thumb, then opens her palm and looks around her.
この子はさ、たくさんの人を喜ばせたでしょ。86運転台通信も、もっとたくさんに読まれてる。お人よの人たちと、観光に来てくれた人たちと、この子を好きな人、思ってるよりたくさんいるよ。
でしたら、募金とボランティアを？
うん。ニーニー。兄さんはその方向で考えてるみたい。それじゃ足りないって言って、まだ悩んでもいたけど。
相鉄様は、最初からそこまでを考えて。
でしょ？ニーニーだもん。この子のことも見捨てたりとか絶対しないよ。
8622. That is correct. Sotetsu would care more than anyone. Not to mention, feel so happy and relieved, but it feels a little regrettable.
でしたら、最初からそうとおっしゃってくだされば。
なんか行き違っちゃったの？
はい、そうですね。ただの行き違いのようですね。
When I talk with Hibiki, the confusion within me unravels. No, Hibiki must be trying her hardest to calm me down.
相鉄様がおっしゃったのです。鉄道事故が怖いと。それで私、責められたように受け取ってしまって。
ニーニーが言ったと、鉄道事故が怖いって。
はい、確かに。
それで86は兄さんに。
2 seconds, 10 seconds, then a long silence. Hibiki lets out a perplexed sigh and looks straight at me.
なんで鉄道事故が怖いか。86、ちゃんとニーニーに聞いたと？
いいえ。いいえ。
Hibiki's eyes look at me so straightforwardly and seriously that it makes me fearful.
聞くも何も、事故が怖いなど当然で。
The natural thing. Because it's natural, no one talks about it. But saying it's natural out loud.
あるのですね。相鉄様には、鉄道事故を恐れる特別な理由が。
It makes me want to shut out my prediction function. An analogical interference may lead to a large malfunction, but I acknowledge that it is something I must know.
私に、その理由を教えてください。
ニーニーの口から。それば、ちゃんと聞かねばいけんよ。
相鉄様から直接に。
Although there is no specific reason why, I see that I'm afraid of that. Of seeing and asking him.
行き違いなんて、あって当然のことやけん。
How does Hibiki know about my worries? Why does Hibiki help me so?
行き違いば怖がってたら、ニーニーと二度と話ばできんようになっとよ。
それは。
An outcome that can be easily observed. I do not want to welcome that sort of future. Then
ありがとう、響。でしたら私、相鉄様にお伺いしてまいります。
God damn it. then there was only one thing I can do.
それがよかとよ。
Hibiki smiles at me, but I notice a tinge of sadness in her eyes. I realize to myself, though, that I should not ask her why that is.
ありがとう、響。
So I thank her once more and step out.
私、行ってまいりますね。
Maitetsu.
相鉄様、お気をつけて。エアクラ作動不能区域内でのフォローはできませんので。
線路沿いを行くのだ。迷う方が難しい。帰りは逆側に出るのでよろしく頼む。
That was the moment Hibiki realized she wasn't chosen to be with Sotetsu. Right, yeah, that's why she's sad. And definitely not because she had to, it's definitely not because she, was reminded that they aren't actually siblings and that he's adopted.
了解いたしました。
I bid farewell to Navi and head into the Aircraft inoperable region. As if matching the darkness in my mind, thoughts are building up in the sky. Perhaps the sun's already warmed up the ballast stones. Regardless, I sweat while I walk alongside the tracks.
暑さには耐性ができたと思っていたのだがな。
In fact, I don't feel hot at all. Compared to the driver's stand in operation, being outside in the sun actually feels quite cooler.
いや、単純に、これは運動で出る汗か。
I continue to walk alongside the tracks. I head to the inoperable region on the other side past the deserted Jutsen coal mine station. That is the only job Paulette has given me for today.
レールショップ周りで混乱が起きていなければいいが。
With the malfunction of the train car, the locomotive has been changed out. The main part of the barbecue train is still the passenger car, though. Because of that, I doubt very much confusion will occur. That's what Paulette said, at least.
それでも、86は金看板だ。期待してくれたお客様は当然不満を感じるだろう。
That's why I wanted to directly apologize to anyone complaining. I suggested that, but Paulette refused to approve of it.
巡回検査をお願いしますか。
I am to go investigate the state of the tracks with my own eyes. I go around checking for distortions and damage. Nagi's grandfather, Seki, and the others who volunteer for track maintenance do this on a regular basis.
やってみると、予想以上に神経を使う仕事だな、これは。
Naturally, I've understood that just from operating the train, but walking up close to it reveals so much more. Because I see more details, I must measure and record every single thing that seems off.
ここは確かに僕のような若者がやるべき場所か。
Seki has a gasoline-powered car, but he probably can't go to the forested area. If he used too much energy just to travel there, it'd make the line maintenance work all the more tiring.
とはいえ、やはり頭を冷やせと、そういう意味でもあるのだろうな。
As I think that, I start to laugh at myself. I already know how important line maintenance was. I thought I knew anyway.
バカか、僕は。漫然と歩いてしまうなど。 戻って、きちんと見直さねば。
Look at me now. If I face the customers now, who knows what rudeness I'd spout. Well, its decision was the right one. Looking back, it makes me naturally hesitate.
ならば、頭を冷やしてからだ。気がかりがあっては、見るべきものも見落としかねん。
No. I may have already missed a major detail that I shouldn't have.
86を混乱させてしまったな。
When I say it out loud, it makes me feel pitiful. The feeling of self-scorn is even stronger than earlier. Confused and putting it lightly. I made Hachiroku cry.
泣きたくて泣いたのではない。自分が泣いていることに気づかぬような泣き方だった。
There were times when I cried like that right after the accident. There were times when I cried like that after hurting Michiko.
あれはどうしようもなくなってしまった時の泣き方だ。
It's when faced with a problem that you can't solve yourself, when there's absolutely nothing you can do. Hear what I tell you. Where are the Michiko hate scenes? She's dead. Tears naturally fall in those times, as if despair, with nowhere to go, takes shape in the form of tears.
ならば僕は86を絶望させてしまったのか。
That's not just a doubt. I know it for sure, because I know that Hachiroku has a soul. Because she has a soul, there shouldn't be much of a difference in emotion between a human and a rail lord.
だというのに。
Why? For what? Why did I do that to her? Why did I make Hachiroku cry like that? No matter how much I think about it, I don't know.
くそ。
Standing still won't solve anything though, and yet I can't move forward with these doubts. I don't know what to do anymore. Maybe asking Hachiroku would be the best thing to do, but that could hurt her even more.
追うなと言われてしまったしな。
Hachiroku said she was overheating, and that she'll cool down in a few hours.
熱か。僕も知恵熱でも出しそうだ。
Never before have I wanted so much to understand how another person felt. Because Michiko and I were twins, we understood each other without having to think about it.
ミチコがいれば相談も。いや、そもそもミチコがいれば、86と出会うことなど。
My legs suddenly freeze. A strong sense of nausea and ringing in my ears. The fear and shivering I'd sealed away start crawling back up from the depths of my memory, showing me the scenery of that rainy day. It's on top of the train tracks. Right on top of the tracks. I wouldn't go on under normal circumstances. I was lying there on my side. My hands that couldn't save Michiko were weak.
だが、すべては過去の話だ。
It's not raining now, nor are stormy winds blowing. I don't hear shouting, and I don't smell iron or blood. My body moves. I can move my neck and viewpoint. I feel no pain. I can speak. I don't hear countless groans.
大丈夫だ。少なくとも今、僕は自分の足で立っている。
Feel that it wouldn't be true if I didn't say it out loud. If I'm pulled underwater, my senses go hazy, and nothing around me feels real. I inhale, then exhale. I first focus on that. My fingertips are clenched, like some sort of spring. I slowly open them.
完全に割り切ったつもりでいたのだが。
When I decided to help Hachiroku, when I decided to become an engineer, I took a step away from my past. I thought I was able to do that.
くそ。
Who would have guessed that trying to forget about the past only makes your trauma worse? My throat's dry. The heat's making me lightheaded, but my body's cold. My older self is returning, back when I was alive, yet dead inside.
大丈夫ですか、相鉄様。
I'm suddenly caught off guard. For a moment, I thought I heard something. Regardless, I'm weak. I heard Hachiroku and now I'm conveniently relying on her.
相鉄様。
I feel heat. The heat from Hachiroku's hand. She's pulling me back to this world.
86か。
はい、私です、相鉄様。
I reciprocate and the grip of her hand, small, soft, and warm. I now know this is reality, and what I think. That's what I think, but my mind doesn't catch up.
どうして86がここにいるのだ。
ナビに尋ねて、そしたら迎えに来て送り届けてくれたのです。
ああ。
Perhaps it's because they have sympathetic connection, or maybe they have grown to understand one another. I had a slight feeling that Hachiroku and Navi had become friends.
相鉄様が随分先行されていると脅されていたので、急ぎ足で来たら予想よりずっと早くに追いつけました。
Hachiroku says a little jokingly, while giving me an awkward smile. Her smile gives me joy, a feeling of relief as if something warm's returned to my body and heart.
残念ながら先行するほど進めなかった。戻ったり止まったりしてしまったのだな。
まあ、そうだったのですか。
I pretend to say it jokingly like her, and Hachiroku smiles at me again. Each and every one of her words gives me warmth deep inside.
しかしおかげで助かった。
My statement comes out naturally. Though, because I always said it rather unexpectedly, Hachiroku freezes up. Also said it.
どうした86。
いえ、私、おそらくはそのことでここに来たのです。お伺いして大丈夫でしょうか。先ほどはひどいご様子に見えましたが。
なあ。
A worried voice, a concerned look. I must have been in terrible shape. What Hachiroku says hits the nail right on the head.
僕ならば大丈夫だ。どころかむしろ話してしまった方がすっきりできるかもしれん。
Really, I never would have guessed.
でしたら。
Talking about your problems will well, they won't fix them. Make them better? I never would have guessed.
相鉄様にお伺いさせていただきます。なぜ相鉄様が。
For a brief moment, her eyes wander. Her voice seems to stick to the back of her throat, and her neat face frowns a little.
なぜ相鉄様が鉄道事故を 恐れているかを。
Well, it all started when when my twin died. Oh,
あ
I nod. Words then seemed to come out of on their own.
理由は極めて単純だ。僕も鉄道事故の被害者なのだ。10年以上も昔のことだ。両親と僕と双子の妹と鉄道旅行を家族で楽しむ計画だった。
I can't even remember where we were going. I probably didn't ask about the details at the time.
SL に乗れるということが僕らには楽しみで楽しみすぎて眠れなくなって当日揃って寝坊した。
That's right. I overslept on that day. But Michiko had woken up a few minutes earlier. That's why I blamed my oversleeping on Michiko.
おかげで楽しみにしていた機関車を見ることもなく大慌てで乗り込んで、それでも旅行は楽しかった。
My father talked to me a lot. My mother smiled a lot. And Michiko sat next to me as usual. We were on a trip, and we were happy as always.
やがて父が教えてくれた。もうすぐ富士が見えると。鉄橋の上から綺麗な富士を眺められると。しかし列車は台風の中に突っ込んでしまった。ひどく揺れ、乗客は騒ぎ、美智子は、僕も怯えた。
That's right. Michiko wasn't the only one who was afraid. I was also afraid of, if for nothing else, then for Michiko. That's why I moved to try and calm her down.
僕は怖くて、とてもじっとしていられなかった。それで、両親の制止も聞かず、先頭車両に。
相鉄様を被害者にしたその事故は富士川橋梁の手前で発生したものですか？
ああ、
Her investigative question surprises me a little, but a sense of curiosity about how this all happened is only natural. Though there were many accidents near the end of the Imperial Railway, this one was a rare case.
脱線、転覆にもかかわらず、被害者はとても少なかった。大人2名、子供1名。死者
Fucking...
脱線、転覆にもかかわらず、被害者はとても少なかった。大人2名、子供1名。死者はわずかに3名だった。
Whatever. Atsuroku freezes. No, her entire body had been tense all along. I just hadn't noticed it until her emotions left her face.
僕が移動を先頭車両に向かわなければ死者数はゼロで済んでいたのかもしれん。
Although I've had the thought 1,000 times before, I've never said it out loud. And now I've said it, I feel I must do so, that I must do so.
あれは本当に事故だったのだ。
Knew that logically. The girl I met when I was a kid taught me that. Now I understand more than anyone. Accidents are accidents.
事故など誰が起こしたくて起こすものか。
いいえ、相鉄様、いいえ。
Atsuroku is slowly inching away from me. I can't let her leave, though. Not like this. Unless you are a terror. Come on. Not the time. However, my legs refuse to budge. My entire body is shaking, refusing to move from my spot.
あの事故は富士川橋梁崩落に伴う8620脱線転覆事故のみは
I listened as a bystander. So that accident was given that sort of name. I can ascertain the facts. There's not a speck of doubt about it, and yet my sensations and reality don't seem to connect.
あれは私の起こしてしまった事故なのです。崩落をした鉄橋に突っ込むよりもマシと考え
I listened to the facts by someone who was there.
私は意図的な脱線転覆を進言し結果相鉄様のご家族を
Hachiroku's lips close. The tension gradually releases, and she painfully speaks the words she's been holding.
私が死なせて
86
Hachiroku runs away, as if to escape the scene. She doesn't even tell me not to follow her. I see her back get swallowed by a dark forest. Here I am, still not able to follow her.
くそ
I'm hesitating, even though I know now is not the time for that. My thoughts swirl in a vortex, and I'm fixated on a single point. Knowing that 8620 is an accident train, knowing that Hachiroku is a rail lord that caused an accident. Why didn't I bother trying to find out what sort of accident it was? Swirling thoughts in my head, fixate that on that one point. Can't even think of any other possibilities.
くそそうだったのか
It wasn't a coincidence, but an inevitability. The situation and my continued avoidance. I finally understood that. I can finally face reality. That's why I...
追いかけるんだ進むんだ
I know, but I can't move. My body's still shaking. I'm barely able to stand up. Something cold touches my forehead. I look up and see rain. It's chilly. Soothes a bit of my tension. I can move a little. I can finally move. The rain that served as a reminder. The rain of Ohitoyo that washed it all away.
86
Let's walk. Even if it's one step at a time. Let's move forward.
86
相鉄様
I didn't have to search far to find her. With the light rain here in the forest,
よかった戻ってきてくれたのだな
逃げ出したところで私はどこにも行けませんので
you can go anywhere as long as you will it. That's what I think. But if I said that, I feel like I'd lose Hachiroku forever. I can't think of a good way to say it.
私は
86お前は誰も死なせてなどいない
いえ
聞いてくれ86
No. Even if I find a good way to say it, it probably won't get my message across. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of words. I've never felt this way before.
僕はずっと疑問に思っていたんだ
But if I don't say it,
鉄
Hachiroku...
道史を知れば知るほど不思議に思った なぜタイトさんが8620とお前とを引き取ったのか。
God fucking damn it. But if I don't say it, Hachinoku will continue to blame herself. That's why I'll say exactly what comes to mind. Hachinoku doesn't say anything. He's not arguing back. I'm sure she understands. Or perhaps she had this doubt as well.
大敗戦の末期にはほとんどの車両が遺棄された。希少なトップナンバー機さえその例外とならなかった。
For example, 6200 that Hachinoku mentioned. Considering its rarity and tourist value, aren't 6200 and 8620 equal?
選ぼうと思えばどんな車両も選べたはずだ。なのになぜタイトさんは事故車両の8620を選んだか。
On top of that, he kept it preserved. Considering how Taito used to work for Imperial Railway, he should have known how much it'd take to repair.
それ
Hachinoku rings out a sound that makes me think she's normalizing. By thinking of the present, she can cut herself. You can cut yourself off from the past.
事故車両ならただ当然にいえ。
ならば九州や四国から引き取ればいいんだ。わざわざ帝都からの移送コストをかけることはない。
Kuma Shochu, the liquor that represents Ohitoyo, no, represents all of Kumamoto, Kyushu, and his large expenditure nearly ruined the long-standing brewery of Mikita.
コスト面をタイトさんはあえて度外視した。借金をしてまでお人よにお前と8620と。
When I say that out loud, I realize something. That's right. In that sense, we're all the same.
そして僕とを引き取った。あの事故の言うなれば被害者たちを。
被害者
She repeats the word I say, but Hachinoku shakes her head sluggishly.
いいえいいえ相鉄様はあるいは8620も確かに被害者でございましょうが。
違うぞ86。
There's a perpetrator. It's me. I hold back my emotions the best I can. I don't want to make Hachiroku cry any further. Until I face forward, Hachiroku won't look up either.
お前の下した判断は最悪の被害を未然に食い止めたのだ。
The Fuji River Bridge had fallen, and 8620 was still running. With the rate that it was going, it would have fallen off the bridge. Had they fallen into the river, as tumultuous as it was that day, thanks to the storm, as tumultuous as it was that day, thanks to the storm, the crew, the passengers, everyone would have died.
被害を最小に食い止めたのはお前の判断だったのだ。
And the victims may have been zero had I not moved. Now that I understand the situation, the regret I feel is even stronger, but I ignore this pain and to move on.
86。僕が認めよ
I reach out my hand. I focus so that my hand doesn't shake. Hatadoku refuses to move, but this time, he doesn't try to evade my hand.
う。お前は間違ったことをしていない。お前の下した判断は正解だった。
お言葉はとてもありがたく存じます。けれど
タイトさんもおそらく同じように考えたのだろう。自分がただ一人の加害者なのだと。
Hatadoku gasps, knowing that she's listening. I feel more motivated to speak.
だがそうではない。 タイトさんもまた加害者ではない。
If I miss this opportunity, the door will shut because I feel I feel that intuitively. I think desperately of what to say. I think of how to relay the message without making Hatadoku deny it out of sheer emotion.
電気が火の元に急速に普及していった。その時期の石油ランプの業者が例えばあるとする。
はい。
Without looking perplexed at all, Hatadoku nods at what I say. Electricity is the aircraft. The lamp is the railway. She's probably able to make the connection.
誰もが電気に親しんで、ランプの需要が激減し、部品の調達さえも難しくなった。そんな頃だ。
はい。
いつものようにランプが灯され、しかし、地震が起きてしまった。
This was that sort of accident. An accident caused by a natural phenomenon. That's all that accident was.
ランプは心を持っていた。だから懸命に努力した。このまま落ちれば、すぐに炎症を呼んでしまう、と。だからランプは我が身を揺らし、燃えにくい場所に落下した。結果、炎症は防がれた。が、
被害者が、それでも出てしまったのですね。
ああ。
Stupid victim drew the hands of his sister and family straight into the flames. I taste the feeling of self-hate often, but if I blame myself, it's the same as blaming Hachidoku.
しかし、近隣への炎症は防がれた。あまたの被害を、ランプの決断は食い止めたのだ。
だからといって、被害者が出てしまったことには変わりありません。
そうだな。僕らは、決してその過去を変えられない。
Even so, that's why Taito saved me. Me, Hachidoku, 8620. He must have placed a wish upon us.
だが、過去を糧とし、前へと進むことはできる。僕はそう教わって、そのようにしてきたつもりだ。
過去を繰り返さぬためですか。
それもある。これほど直接的な形になるとは、夢にも思っていなかったかな。
It's ironic, but also an inevitability. A laugh naturally comes out of me. Affected by that, Hachidoku also smiles a little, filled with self-blame, powerlessness, but a laugh just the same.
事故を悔やんで立ち止まっても、被害者は全く報われまいよ。
I tell that to myself, stronger than I ever have. I remember the dream I always have of the last station, Michiko. This is exactly that.
同じ傷をもう誰にも負わせないようにしなければ。そうすることが生き残ったものの最善だと僕は思う。
であるのならば、私たちをこのまま眠らせてしまった方が良いのでは。
An answer I'd not anticipated. Hachidoku throws that in my face.
大枠を損傷したものを無理やり復旧されるより、別の手段で交通を確保し、観光を進行した方が。
All the costs and time we've invested. If we were to forget all that, Hachidoku does have a point. No, having the courage to start all over may be the best way to put the lessons of the past into action.
8620を修復することは単なるエゴか。
I want to fix 8620 and have it recover from the accident. I want to run it happily. I want it to run happily.
あるいは僕は自分自身の代償に。
The moment that crosses my mind, heat vanishes. Reality hits me hard. I feel cold. When I realize it, I start shaking, and I'm unable to stop.
相鉄様
Hachiroku reaches out to me. She touches me and flinches for an instant. Then she grips my arm.
すみません。私気がつかなくて。こんなに冷え切ってしまうまで。
気にするな。僕自身さえ気づかなかった。
Although we have the trees above for protection, it's raining so hard that we can't escape it. Of course I'd feel cold. My body was heated to the point that I didn't even notice I was cold. That's all.
とにかく歩いてここを出ましょう。
With her lips closed tightly, Hachiroku draws me by the hand. I then finally remember.
ポーレットに減速を頼まれていたのだが。
明日にでもまた行いましょう。私もお手伝いいたします。
Hachiroku draws me firmly. Her strength to continue on makes me want to cry.
明日も、明後日も、その次の日も、私たちは、乗務の予定を持たないのですから。